Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with a Q&A video answering all of your questions. So let's get right to it with the first question. This one comes from a channel member. Alvin Close wants to know, how often do you meet people, AKA fans, from YouTube? You know, I really don't get out that much. I don't have much of a social life. I'm pretty much here working all the time. But when I do, I would say on average, I probably run into someone maybe about once a month who's a viewer of my channel. If I go on vacation to kind of a busy touristy area, it happens more often. But ironically, the one place I've never run into anybody who's views my channel is at the local As Seen on TV store. Michael asked, have you considered showing us your instruments, like your basses, even if it's just a one-off thing for your musician fans? I have quite a few bass guitars. I've got an acoustic guitar, I've got a keyboard, but let me show you my prized possession, not just among my instruments, but of everything. And here it is. Inside here is the instrument I purchased in December 1986, direct from Carvin in San Diego, and that is my fretless bass. I first performed this in December of '86, and I've performed it even in recent years, and it's in almost pristine condition. I still have the original pickups that were refurbished a few years back. Everything's original, and the paint job is pristine. I've been taking good care of it. So if my house ever catches on fire, I have to grab one thing, this might be it. The VHS Reviver asked, did you record things to VHS tape years ago? If so, do you still have them? I absolutely do. I've got a giant box of them. My original video recorder was one of those ones that went on your shoulder. In fact, I'll show you a clip of that. Okay, now since this is the only place I can film, since this is the only place I can film and see myself and be seen when I'm filming, even though my hair looks crappy, I haven't shaved really. I'm going to sign off for now. I'll probably film a little later on tonight. I had that one into the early 90s, and then I got an 8mm handheld camcorder, which I've actually been in the process of digitizing all those. I've got boxes of them. I've already digitized something like 50 of them. I still have like 30 more to go. I haven't even gotten to my VHS tapes yet. I'm kind of working backwards. So when I get to my VHS tapes, I don't know what I'm going to find. It'll be fun. I'll post something here once in a while. I'm not sure who'd want to see that. I don't think I did any reviews back then, but maybe I'll try to integrate some old VHS clips into some of my next videos. I've got two kind of nearly identical questions, including this one from Jared38 that says, what is the one product you would like to review, but the price prevents you from reviewing said product? The first thing that comes to mind, and I keep almost buying it, but I never really do because it's so expensive, are the Moonwalkers. They go over your shoes, and they're kind of like roller skates, but you can supposedly walk as fast as you run in them. The problem is they're 1,300 bucks. I'm not sure if that video is going to really generate much interest. So I think I might have taken a bath on that one. I might still review it, but I haven't pulled the trigger just yet. This person wants to know if my success on YouTube has affected my life, relationships, and friendships for the good or the bad. You know, it's kind of weird. I had a much more of a social life before I got on YouTube. I was playing in a band and I would go out with friends. I don't have time for that now. So it's kind of negatively affected my life in some ways. It's positively affected it in a lot of ways. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, there's a lot of positive things that's brought to my life, but it's really kind of removed my social life, which I really want back at some point. So I got to figure out how to find more balance. You think that when you find a certain level of success that it opens up more opportunities, but in some ways it removes opportunities outside of work. Cookies23405 asks, is your new kitchen another property you own, or have you built a specific studio for your videos? This is a place that I'm renting that I've used mostly for kitchen gadgets. I've actually had it for almost 2 years now, but in fact, this is probably the last time I'm going to film here because I'm getting rid of it. So it was nice while it lasted, but I think this is going to be the last hurrah for this kitchen. Mr. Thanksgiving 9720 asks, has a company ever reached out to you in a negative manner for giving them product a poor review? I get that from inventors quite a bit because a lot of inventors don't think there's anything wrong with their products. I've occasionally heard from companies. I hear from a lot of companies if I ever give a bad review. Sometimes I hear from companies if I give a good review but mention any cons at all. Years ago, before I was on YouTube, a company tried to sue me. That didn't go so well because I was just giving my opinion. Early in my channels, I got a letter from some lawyers from one of the companies. That didn't go so well either because reviewing a product, what law am I breaking, right? In general, I hear from inventors on negative reviews more than companies. A couple people asked about Halloween. One person says, any Halloween related things for this month? Items, costumes, or such? Someone else asked, will there be another Halloween item review on the way? Well, I am going to Spirit Halloween this week. I'm gonna see if I can come up with something. I promised the channel members I'd do something for Halloween, but I'm gonna try to do something for everybody as well. So stay tuned, and hopefully I've got a Halloween video up in the next week or so. Bryce says, I know it's a saturated market, but would you ever start a podcast? I'm not opposed to the idea. I think it would be fun, but it's not something I would really have a lot of aspirations to blow up on. It'd be more for my own enjoyment. With all the new technology out there, I'm kind of hoping that VR podcasts become a thing, because that might be something I can jump on the bandwagon before it gets too saturated. All right, a couple questions about my bald head. The first one says, when and why did you decide to shave your head? The other one, do you shine your head? It looks beautiful. Well, thank you very much about that compliment. I don't shine my head, but I do shave my head usually whenever I'm going to film, so it's usually pretty freshly shaved. A number of years ago, I actually had a bunch of marks on my head, and I had those all removed, so maybe that helps it look smooth and shiny. I'm not sure. The first question about when I first shaved my head and why, I guess it's kind of a funny story there. It was 2006 when I was 38 years old, is the first time I shaved my head. I had been kind of tossing the idea around of shaving my head, because around that time, if you recall, Chris Daughtry on American Idol was kind of popular. Everybody's raving about how great he looked in a bald head, so I was thinking, maybe I should just do the bald thing. But what actually happened the first time I shaved my head bald was a complete mistake. I had been using a trimmer with an attachment on it and going to like a number 1. Well, this time I forgot to put the attachment on. I went right down the center and I had nothing there. So I was like, well, that's it. I'm just going to shave it. So the first night I actually laid down on my pillow and I felt my bald skin on my pillow. I said, I'm never shaving my head bald again. Within a few days, my hair started growing back. I liked that even less, and I shaved it and I never went back. So I've been completely bald since 2006. This person know what the challenges have been being a self-employed YouTuber, and there are some. I had to create a corporation. There's a lot of tax stuff that's a much more complex than it used to be when I was just doing my own taxes as an individual. You have to keep kind of more track of your expenses and everything, and like what's business expenses, what's not. And there's a lot of overlap. I buy things that I review, but I keep using. Is that a business expense or not? It's hard to tell. So I got an accountant that helps me out with that, thankfully, because I'd be lost without him. So I would say that taxes are the biggest challenge being a self-employed YouTuber. Next question, Cheese7508 asks, have you seen that Always Drops are on Amazon now, like you recommended, for $14.99, free shipping? What's your thought on them at that price point? I'm actually happy to see that Always Drops is now cheaper with free shipping on Amazon, so I think that will help them reach a wider audience. I do like the product, so I'm hoping this helps them succeed. Evan asks, after you review a product, do you ever go back and leave a review? Also, when you mention the price you paid for an item, is that with or without shipping? As far as the first question goes, usually I don't leave reviews on Amazon, because Amazon reviews I don't really put a lot of faith in. Although sometimes if I get a product that seems like there's something inherently wrong with it, I might go on there once in a while to warn other consumers who are considering buying it, but in general, I don't leave Amazon reviews. And to answer your second question, because I do order most of my products from Amazon, I usually don't mention shipping because it's free, but in those cases when I order direct from the website, I'll tend to mention the shipping when I do my unboxing. A couple of similar questions about the Circle water bottle. One person wants to know if I've done a review on it. Another person asks if I'm still using it. So to answer the first question, yes, I did review it in July of 2021, and I've used it quite a bit since then. In fact, I got some, even got some refills here. But with so many products I've done over the years, I've done water bottles, I've done the Air Up, the Always Drops, and Ninja Thirsty. I used this pretty solidly for about a year, but it kind of started falling into a rotation, so I don't use it quite as much as I used to. But I do like it, and I recommend it all the time. Grape Green 5886 asks, do you still find YouTube interesting, and how do you combat burnout? That's actually a really good question, and I love YouTube. I really do. If I ever do start to feel burned out, which I think anybody who creates content on a regular basis gets that feeling once in a while, I have a couple strategies I use to combat that, which so far they've worked. One of them is to buy a new piece of equipment, because if I have something new to use, I kind of want to use it. It makes me want to work more. The other thing I'll do is I'll switch things up. I might go from making longer videos to shorter videos, more in my studio or more outside. I just try to do the opposite of what I've been doing lately. The other thing is sometimes I'll throw in something that's more for my benefit than the viewers, like a vlog or kind of a travel related video. So I find ways to mix things up. When all else fails, I'll go back to the videos that got me inspired in the first place, like 2015-16 era, like Casey Neistat. That always gets me grounded and reminds me of why I got in YouTube in the first place. Jeff wants to know if I've always been a hockey fan or if I became one with the arrival of the Golden Knights. I'd say both, really. Back in the 80s, I used to watch hockey. I used to watch every sport back then. I used to watch everything from women's tennis to Australian football, the hockey, everything. I used to watch everything back then. The Mets traded Juan Samuel for Mike Marshall. Juan Samuel? Who's that? He's a center fielder. He only batted .228. In the 90s, especially when I had kids, my sports watching went down to a bare minimum of just NBA and NFL. But with the arrival of the Golden Knights, I kind of reinvigorated my love for hockey, and I love going to those games. I watch them on TV. It's like the whole town is kind of really fallen in behind our sports teams, and I can't wait for us to get an NBA team. But to answer your question, I was back in the day, and I am again. Got another question from Mr. Thanksgiving. Do you think any of your videos has significantly impacted the sales of a product either positively or negatively. I've had a few people reach out and tell me they took my criticisms into account when creating the next version of a product, so I think in that case, it has had an impact. I've had Amazon vendors write to me and say that my review made them sell out if I had a really positive review, and I call that the freaking fire sale. Now, Tammy asked a pretty good question I've been asked before. She asked, I found that there are trends throughout YouTube channels on reviews of items. My question is, do you decide to review the items because other channels or because you've seen it on other media? The short answer is that it's because I've seen it on other media or I've gotten requests for it. The longer answer is a lot of times a new product comes out and it's kind of everywhere, and viewers start requesting of the channels they watch, so a lot of me and other review channels get a lot of the same requests, or things are going around and we review things that are going around. So that's almost always a coincidence, at least on my part, that if I review something that someone else recently reviewed. It's never fun to work on a product that you think that you're kind of unique for reviewing, and the first comment is, oh, so-and-so just reviewed this yesterday. But but what am I supposed to do? I mean, I already worked on the video. When a product comes out and starts advertising, all of us jump on it. It's usually just a coincidence. Well, that's it for this Q&A. I appreciate everybody who submitted questions, and if I didn't get to yours this time, I'll try to get to them down the road. I'll be back in another few days with my next product review. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Tomorrow for sure, I will do this again. Anyways, well, sign off for now. I'll talk to you later. And that's the way it goes. I'll see you later.